server version.
We're doing Suntec, right?
Yeah, Suntec.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 121.4.
Okay. I believe I told DatNerd to send things ahead of me, so hopefully it's been pasted.
Yep. Pasted and tested.
Oh,
Thanks to
brilliant. Okay. Someone may need to whitelist my
Real quick.
channels.
You should be whitelisted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been on one of the previous calls.
Yeah, but that was my alt.
Oh shit. Oh, speaking
Yeah,
of
what's
him.
up, this?
Do it from here.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How's everyone doing?
Hi. Okay.
Ruby.
All right. Okay. So I have a slideshow.
Ooh.
Yo.
Let me go get it.
Willie, are you recording again?
Yeah. Let me just
Okay.
see if my
Okay. I'll be honest, I finished wiring this thing maybe 3 hours ago, and I haven't slept. So I'm real, I'm on top of it.
You're locked in.
I think that's how you want to be going into this. You know, you're like, you just wired it, all fresh in your brain.
I don't know if it's fresh in the brain. My brain is pretty slush right now, bro. Okay. I'm gonna drink some water. Today's the 22nd.
Yes.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. There's my slideshow.
The Cyclical seminar.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
Let me know when you want me to start.
Will you record?
Yes, I am.
Alright, go for it.
I think we're good, yeah.
All right. Welcome to the Cyclical seminar led by me, Data. It's the 22nd of August, 2026. Special thanks to Qualcomm and Melantech for providing the CMPs that a lot of this work was developed upon. So here's a general roadmap. First, we're going to be taking a look at what is cyclical variable sorting. Cyclical variable sorting is actually as old as shulker boxes, and like all good things, cyclical variable sorting is inspired by Etho. Cyclical variable sorting, or at least like the progenesis of it, comes from Etho Plays Minecraft, episodes 469 and episodes 470. Here he developed the shulkerbox search engine, and he tried to make a defragmentation device for it in the next episode. And this really is kind of where I got my start in storage tech. So cyclical variable sorting has a very special place in my heart. It was just trying to solve the old problem with shulker boxes in 1.11, in that they're, one, expensive. It takes a lot of time to get them. Two, they're non-renewable, right? So this is prior to 1.17, where you have the change where shulkers can respawn. And three, they're just kind of hard to get because you have to get out into the outer end islands. You have to try and find all these end gateways. They're kind of a hassle for survival. So the precursors to cyclical variable sorting tried to make boxes compressed, right? So you want to use as few boxes as you can for the amount of items that you want to store. Two, make boxes recyclable, right? So you don't have to keep getting new boxes as you play the game. And three, generally speaking, easier to use by sorting the items within the boxes so that they're more predictable. Here are some old screenshots that I dug up from random chats with friends from way back when. Here are the good old precursors to the cyclical variable sorter as you come to know and love. So here on the left we have the cyclical variable sorter or the kind of precursor to the cyclical variable sorter that I designed in Survival in 1.11. It used a CUD. It's somewhere down below there. Mind you, this is before I had Lightmatica or Schematica or anything. So this is rebuilt by hand on a CMP to test it. And then on the image here on the right, this is the only image I could find of the actually designed entirely in Survival 1.13, 1.14 cyclical variable sorter, which use signal strength variable filters similar to Palo Palo's variable sorters. And I was very excited by this because I could not figure out how to make dropper elevators, and bubble columns really solved that problem for me. The one on the right is modular, and it was 4x tileable, as I recall. And the one on the left was a single module of a SICVAR operating at hopper speed. It might not have actually been hopper speed. I just knew that it wouldn't break with hoppers. Later, so maybe about a year or so after the fact, inspired by two known-to-name sequential fixed sorter for the SciGraph Mesa query, I designed the first true cyclical variable sorter that you might find on my YouTube channel. So it's 2x tileable, it sorts 64 stackable items into single item type boxes, it outputs minimal and unique partials, it's 16 stackable and non-stackable proof, so it doesn't sort these items, but it doesn't break because these items exist in the input. It has a really complicated reset mechanism that I don't know why I did it like that back 6 years ago at this point. It has a box loader taken from Samus the Sage, which is apparently unreliable in 1.13 and up. It's got a ton of toggle states, and it also has a dropper-hopper monostable. And then I started thinking, and I started drawing, and I had the makings of a madman. And then we get an improved logic. We get the hyper-threaded cyclical variable sorter. It's still 2y tileable. It has a really complicated reset mechanism. It finally has emptied box distribution. It has some color-coded wiring. It has a dropper-hopper filter instead of a monostable. It has a toggle state XOR gate, so now the toggle state is doing logic. It's got a comparator fader, and then next thing you know, it's got another comparator fader, and the name is cool as hell. And this brings us now to the Melantech era. This is how I got into Melantech. In fact, this is how Mesantic found me and asked me to join their guild. On Melantech, at least in terms of cyclical variable sorting, there's a lot of conceptual development, though not a lot of cyclical variable sorter slices themselves. So the first thing is figuring out how do you make 64 and 16 compatible variable sorting, because this was simply not feasible in 2020 and 2021. So the first kind of step towards this was self-resetting variable sorters. So this was designed by myself, MetaMilo, and Repscallion as a part of making the item gate for MIS v4.2. The next thing was making CUD-based filters. So now we're starting to get into the territory where you can start making cyclical variable sorters out of these kinds of filters. The primary development on Melantech for this is Barcelona, C5, myself, Marcus, Mesantic, Program Trouble, and also Exior. And I'd also like to shout out Dragon Babyfly, who was developing CUD-based variable sorting back in 2019, I believe. And then also Palapala, it turned out, had made the first CUD-based shulkerbox splitter in the V3 in the lost city of v3.100. The next step in cyclical variable sorting comes out of dueling hopper filters, which is what we'll be looking at later today. The primary development of this on Melantech comes from Barcelona, Crane, myself, Mesantic, and Program Trouble. The Storage Tech Avengers, in case you wanted to know. We called ourselves that. And the last thing is multi-threshold variable filters, also known as subtraction filters. You might be familiar with this in your typical global reset variable loaders. The development of which on Melantech was primarily done by Crane, myself, and Mesantic. And there will be some detours to Melantech 2020 along the way. So the next big thing that we kind of figured out on Melantech is the kind of basics of sorting theory. Because before this, we really thought of like splitters as sorters, but they're not really sorters, right? They're really kind of only performing one half of the job of sorting, and that's searching for items, right? But you also have to merge the items later. And it's this search plus merge, both of these functions combined, that gets you the full sorting process. So I believe I was looking through your chats, you all call this kind of like a variable loop. This is what we were calling it, at least in our internal document. So searching is this kind of top-down process where you find which items are in which boxes. And then merging is a bottom-up process instead, where you're putting like items into the same box. And you need to have both to really get your sorting down. And that's what cyclical variable sorting tries to do. And that's also how I ended up trying to expand and develop cyclical variable sorting to be faster than its naive implementation. I think this slide is a double. Classic. So here we get to the 4 logics of cyclical variable sorting, 2 of which are kind of existing, and the other 2 don't have a really nice implementation quite so far. So one is a simple cyclical variable sorter. So this is the first one on my channel, and also one that we'll be looking at today. So this has search dependent on merge globally, right? This means you can't start looking for new boxes until you're done merging all of your input. Next thing is hyper-threaded cyclical variable sorting. So here search is dependent on merge locally. So that means you can't start searching for new boxes until your local environment, basically your slice, is done merging all of its items. The next one is bypass cyclical variable sorting. Here search is entirely independent of merge. So I believe you all have been calling this kind of like grouper cyclical variable sorting or searcher cyclical variable sorting. I've been calling it bypass, and I'm going to stick with that terminology because I love myself. The general concept here is that you have some sort of search mechanism. It can either be internal to the slice or it could be external to the slice, and it performs the search operations concurrently to merging. Then the last and kind of the golden egg of cyclical variable sorting is dynamic cyclical variable sorting. Here, both searching and merge are uncapped. Dynamic cyclical variable sorting has only really been touched by myself and Crane, and neither of us got very far with it. But it's always something that's kind of being worked on in the back of the mind. And that now concludes the Melantech era, and now we come into the Qualcomm era. So I had taken a long break in 2021 from playing TMC, and then in 2022, with the start of Qualcomm, I came back. And here we get a bunch of cyclical variable sorter slices, and also 2 cyclical variable sorters on SMP, one of which, the one in the middle here, is still currently running right now, processing 12 double chests of shulker boxes for Mac. And that brings us to now, which we're going to be taking a look at. So this here is the Dueling Hopper simple cyclical variable sorter, designed by myself and Shmo back in December of 2022. It's 2-wide tileable and also 8 long rotationally tileable, meaning that you can fully saturate a chunk. It has no filter items, so you don't have to worry about having a filter item filter before inputting into the device. It sorts both 64 and 16 stackable items. It's fully hopper locked. It has a calling empty box distribution, which means that it's quite cheap on empty boxes. There's no empty box prefill. It has an addressable loader. This means that imagine that you have a dig sort and you have a centralized dig sorter, and you have a set number of items that you're kind of looking for. You're looking for your stones, you're looking for your diorites, you're looking for your andesites, you're looking for your granites. What you can do is you can call a box from temp and have that be your direct output box. And you can decide what slices get mapped to which item. So this can help you in the merging process. It's also pausable, and as you'll hear, it is musically tuned. Here's both sides of the 2-wide module. Yeah, you got a question? I'm going to take that as a no.
No, I did not.
And it also has a front end. Thank you, DatNerd, so much for the renders here, and also hopper locking with me. I think maybe like 4 hours ago. So, do we have any questions? And also, we can take a look at the CMP now, if you'd like.
I mean, I'm mainly just curious kind of how it works. I remember I was talking with somebody about dueling hopper filters and SIGFAR, and I was like, how would you even do that? So I'm really curious to see how that functions. So.
All right, sounds good. Well, let's go take a look at the thing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Sounds good.
Okay. Right. Oh, brilliant. Okay. So here we have the cyclical variable sorter in its kind of full form here. Let's first talk about the dueling hopper splitter. So the dueling hopper splitters, the dueling hopper filters. Okay. So the way these work is relatively simple. So let's do a redstone lamp, and we'll do a torch. And we'll get our unstackables. So here we have one hopper kissing the other, and there's one slot that's empty between them. And really, the main kind of like advantage of using a dueling hopper splitter, dueling hopper filter is just that when you flip the locking of the slice, that leading blocker item will move places. So I'm going to replace the leading blocker item with the water bucket. Right. So it's just kind of going back and forth here as you flip the lever. Right. So what you can do with that is if you just put items in here, now you can't get the flip. Right. So you can detect SS15 on one of the hoppers here, right? But I think probably your question is like, how do you get the items out of the hopper?
I mean, I
like,
don't understand how these work, but my question is more just like, how do you keep the filter set for the next box?
I see. How do you keep the filter set for the next box? Well, we use signal strength, in fact. Because signal strength filters aren't restricted to just like your classic like 19111 or 41111.
Yep.
Right? If you have 4 unstackables here, that's outputting a signal strength, and basically what you end up doing is you end up buffering, some amount of items. So I think in this case it's 19, and that's before the next signal strength threshold. So currently, I have a lot of, I think, delay when I'm doing things. So the current signal strength here is, let's flip it back. So the current signal strength in this hopper is going to be 12. So it'll take, I think, 19 items before you get up to signal strength 13. So the way that you set the filter is that you wait for 19 buffer items. So the way that I ended up doing that is like so. So we have this like light blue circuit here. So we're reading off signal strength 13 right now, but by default we'll be reading off signal strength 12. So what we do is we subtract the to like lock this hopper. We use the wire that we're using to do signal strength subtraction on this comparator.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe that's the right amount. Right. So we'll send in signal strength 12 into the side of the comparator. And you can extend it by going like this. All right. And now when you get to 19, like when you get up to 19 items, or more than 19 items, now you're getting an output, a signal strength of 1. So at this point, it's just pretty similar to like making your like standard, like hopper filter.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a normal filter. Yeah.
So at this point, you can have like this, right?
Yep. No, that
but you'll
makes
notice
sense.
that this isn't what I actually end up doing in the the dueling hopper cyclical variable sorter, right? Instead, we're doing this whole like dropper hopper thing, right? With this like redstone dust and this comparator.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have an idea of why that might have been?
So this is serving to, I guess it adds another mechanism for locking.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the item drops out of the hopper into the dropper, the comparator will read it and then it can't turn off. So you can keep this perma-locked in certain situations, which is, I'm assuming, is to prevent the filter from draining too far.
That is one of the advantages. You can also do that with like a regular filter by wiring this, right? If you wire
I'm
like
trying to
this,
figure out what the dueling hopper advantage is here.
Yeah. So let's try and reset this filter, right? So the way that we reset the dueling hopper filter is, what do? We lock the filter hopper. Oh, wait. Okay, 1 second. We lock the filter hopper, and then we unlock this hopper here, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we unlock that hopper, what's going to end up happening? Once we drain out all the items, everything is going to start draining. Oh wait, I have this locked. Okay. Once we drain out all the items, basically everything is going to start draining out into this hopper here, right? So we need to know some way to lock this hopper again. Now, if you remember the splitters, how the splitters work. So because the splitters don't actually have like they aren't doing the signal strength thing here.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have the signal strength detection. What you can do on the splitter is you have SS15 detection on this hopper, right? So you have SS15 detection like this. So we'll do that and that. And then you have a hopper coming out. So with the SS15 detection, okay, 1 second. Let me do that. Yeah, and let me do that. When you have the SS15 detection, you'll end up locking the hopper again. Basically, this is kind of how the splitters work. But the main thing here is that we can't get like a comparator coming out of this hopper, right? Because we can't get it off on the other side. And if we do get it off on the other side, it's just going to make a lot of the wiring really clunky, right? We want everything to be on the same side. So what we do instead is we do SS15 detection on the main hopper, right? So the way these work, let me do that. And we'll do that and do that. Oh wait, I swapped them. Okay. So when we get the water bucket in here, we'll have signal strength 15, and that's something we can detect. And because during like normal operation, we have like this line going here, we'll never ever get strength 15. So we can use signal strength 15 as our lock the filter, as our lock the filter signal strength. So the way that we end up doing that is we have the comparator here, and then we have a redstone dust here, and then we give it an inventory to read out of.
Yep. Yeah. SS15. Yeah.
So that's how we end up, like, this is a very compact way of doing the SS15 detection. There's some other filters that you can do for it, but they end up being like 3 blocks taller. So this is the kind of like nicest way of doing it. So that's kind of the core of the dueling hopper filter, is like, this is how you end up sort of just doing it. Let's see, let me put an item in here. So put one item in there, and now I can set up the filter again. Yeah. Do that, and this one is set up, the side is set up. Okay, and let's also let's wire this to be a little bit nicer. Nicer to work with, at least. So I'm just going to wire it so that this hopper is going to be like depowered at the right time. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. And just do this. Okay, so now we have like a single control wiring here, so I'm going to get rid of the lamp. Here we go. So now our filter is going to be set up. So we have this. I'm going to put a chest down below. And that'll drain things, hopefully. Okay. So I'm going to put 64 torches in there, and we'll see that it's going to start draining. And it's going to stop when it gets to 18. Right? Because we're doing that signal strength change. And now this lever here is going to be our reset. So I'm going to actually set this to be a redstone lamp. And now when I unflick the lever, we should see that those torches are going to drain, and then we're going to push the water bucket in, and it'll stop the filter. Oh, we pushed a water bottle in, but same difference. So now the filter is permanently locked. Yeah. We're not
So this
just
the filter reset then, yeah.
Yeah, well, we have to do a little bit more to make sure that the filter properly resets. Because if I just like flick this lever again, you'll see that the water bottle is going to go down. Because what'll happen is that when this hopper pushes, it'll decrease the signal strength of this by 2, and then this comparator is going to turn off. It'll flash off for a moment.
Okay.
Oh wait, it didn't actually do that. Why didn't it do that? Oh, you have to do that for other reasons, but I'll save that for later. But yeah, this is the kind of core of the cyclical variable sorter. So this signal strength part here comes from Schmo, and then this SS15 detection is kind of my what I brought to this device to make it work and make it reliable.
So my question, I guess, is it seems like you're using signal strength to do the filtering.
Mhm.
What is the advantage of using dueling hopper setup here rather than just a traditional filter?
So the advantage of using a dueling hopper setup is that you don't have filter items. That's the main thing. Having filter items are always, it's like kind of one of those edge cases in your storage where if you end up sending filter items into your device, then the filter items will break your machine most likely.
Okay.
So that's the main purpose behind it. You can, like, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to deal with all this dueling hopper stuff, you can just like use signal strength here, right? You can just break this hopper, right?
Yeah.
And instead of like turning off this line, you just reduce it by 1.
Yeah, and then
you'll get your standard subtraction filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise you can't detect when a slot has emptied. Like when you've unplugged it. Unless you use filter items. I have some other cyclical variable sorters that do use subtraction filters. But they're pretty large and they're all the hyper-threaded logics. So I felt like they were perhaps for another time.
Perhaps, yeah. Those ones would be.
And they were also designed in 2022, but they weren't as. They didn't have Schmo's hand.
I see.
Yeah.
No,
That's the core of the filter and how the filter works.
So it's just like it's kind of like a dual stage filter where there's a reset mode and there's a filtering mode, and you just flick on the reset mode at the end of the cycle.
Yeah. So basically, all variable sorters that, nearly all variable sorters that. Or actually, no, all variable sorters operate on like 3 states, right? because you have your
Yeah.
unmapped state, and then you have your map state, and then you have your sorting state.
Yeah.
So you always need to be managing 3 states. So the dueling hopper filter, it manages those states by like checking the slots, right?
Yeah.
So the like checking whether or not you can push an item into a hopper. The signal strength filters, what they do is they like vary between 2 different states, or states for that matter, right? So that's how the multi-threshold filters work. And then the last one is a CUD, where you're just detecting when activity is happening in the hopper, and then you're externally controlling and storing the state. And by externally controlling the state, you can determine what the state of the hopper should be in.
Yeah. Also, I feel like one of the interesting things about the dueling hopper splitter setups then is that they have the 3 states, but they kind of use the unstack, leaving the storing hopper and coming into the filtering hopper as a detection for when it stops draining. And so they kind of don't have to globally manage when a box is done filtering a certain item type.
Yeah, no, that's a way of thinking about it. I think generally the way you want to think about these things is that you just have to like control 3 states. You have to figure out when your sorter is unmapped. You got to figure out when your sorter is mapped, and you got to figure out when your sorter can sort. However, whatever method you use for determining each of those states, you'll have a variable sorter at the end. It just turns out that like having this kind of like mixed modal variable filter ends up being like kind of easier to wire and pretty versatile. At least in these cases where you don't need a self-resetting variable sorter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So the next thing like coming out of the filter is that we're going to need to like put the boxes somewhere, right? And ideally we're trying to put the boxes on top of the filter. So the layout that I use here is kind of the standard layout that I've used for cyclical variable sorters in the past. So you have this dispenser here, and you have some piston here, and then you end up pushing a hopper over this way into a dropper, like that, right? And I used to have like a hopper like this, but as it happens, I forgot I don't have tweakeroo. As it happens, the update order of a torch, if you power it here, is just right to make sure that the bottom dropper turns on before the top dropper. So you end up getting an instant dropper from the torch here. So I think I can show that here. So right now there's a box in the dropper, and I'm going to turn on the torch, and you'll see that the box is immediately in the dispenser, even though there was just 1 pulse. So this kind of makes a really simple kind of layout, and also reduces the number of hoppers you need to lock. Right. But there is kind of one problem with this layout. Does anyone spot it? It has to do with locking hoppers. Because there's a hopper here that really needs to be locked, or be able to be locked.
The input hopper?
The input hopper, by the input hopper, do you mean this hopper?
I mean, how you put the box on top of the filter hopper.
Yeah. The filter hopper needs to be able to be locked. But right now we don't have any way to do that. So the solution that I had come up with is to move this piston back by 1, make this block non-sticky, and then you push in a conductive block. And by default, this block, this piston is extended. We can use an oak log. I think I use gold blocks in there. Yeah. So I use the non-conductive block here, and yeah, you can have a repeater here pointing into the block to lock it. What I end up doing is I do a redstone dust here, because the redstone dust here will also end up locking this hopper. the hopper that it's standing upon. And then I have repeaters going on top of the droppers to power it globally from the front end. So immediately, like with this concept and with this core, we're really outside of the realm of being able to do like a hyper-threaded or like a local reset cyclical variable sorter. Just because like our locking line has to kind of be global. Because also like if we were to try and do it locally, we'd also end up powering like the dispenser in a different slice. So we need to kind of control things globally, at least with this concept, or at least with this core. There might be some other way of wiring it. Or if you like expand to 3 light titleable, then you might be able to do like a hyper-threaded dueling hopper SIGVAR.
Or if you ignore hopper locking.
Well, for dueling hopper, you need to be able to lock the hopper.
You need it. Yeah.
So that's the main issue. So you aren't able to like lithium your way out of this problem. So that's the kind of core of the filter. Let's see. I think. What do you think is the kind of next thing that we need to be able to do, right? So we're trying to put boxes on top of this filter, and how many buffer items do we need in the filter? We said we needed 18. So how do we make sure that we end up collecting 18 items? Or like having enough time to buffer up 18 items in the filter before we know that the filter's been set. Yeah, you can feel free to like take a look at the wiring in there, and you can let me know what color circuit you think it is. Yeah. But if you have any ideas, that'd be great.
I mean, the first thought that I had was it just being global. Like you can do a global fader to demand a certain minimum period of time from each box. But I don't know that solution.
I think that's a similar like vein of thinking as like the solution that Joe and I had come up with. So what we end up doing is we have a signal strength memory cell up at the top here. And the signal strength memory cell acts as like kind of our global fader, except it locally activates per slice. So that's this,
so it only triggers when the slice is actually setting its filter?
No, it doesn't. It's not that advanced. Unfortunately, it's really hard to like wire that.
Yeah.
The main reason that we do it like this, as opposed to just having like a single global fader in the back, is because this allows you to pause the operation like mid-cycle. And basically, like, let's say one slice is on signal strength 3 and the other slice is on signal strength 8. You don't have to wait for the signal strength 8 slice before the signal strength 3 slice goes on. It might be smaller to do it the way that you're saying, though.
It definitely is, but it's so slow to do global.
I got you. Yeah, I've never worked with this kind of like global logic. I think, let me make sure that I'm wiring this right. I think I put the... Okay, wait, no. Yeah, I did put this in the right spot. Okay, that's good. And yeah, so now we have this kind of signal strength memory cell. Now, the next thing that we want to do is when we're filtering items, like when we're sorting items from a box, we want to make sure that we don't break the box at all, right? Or rather, we want to make sure that this signal strength memory cell doesn't end up decrementing. So let me also like put in the decrement wires here. Done. So this is just kind of a global line that'll just end up clocking. We want to make sure that the filter, while it's active, doesn't end up decrementing doesn't let the signal strength memory cell decrement. So the way we end up doing that is that we have a torch here, and we basically just route the signal strength to power this this redstone dust here. So that ends up looking like this. So I think it's on 4 ticks, and it's on 4 redstone ticks just because of some edge case handling. And I believe it looks like that. Yeah. And then you can also just put like a dropper on top of the hopper for good measure. I think probably, I don't know, what's the cool new thing in this version? Is it pots? Put pots on it? Is that less laggy than the dropper?
Yeah.
They have a renderer is the problem.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Maybe crafters then.
I actually wanted to do a lag test to see if a crafter with all of its slots blocked was less laggy than a crafter with them all open, but
I see. Oh, chiseled bookshelf is a good idea. Yeah, that's true. That's only 6 slots. You can always do another hopper. That's only 5 slots.
oh my god.
But sure, we can use chiseled bookshelves here. So this is kind of most of the actual like sorting part of the cyclical variable sorter. The rest of it is just kind of, 1, dealing with the items that you get out of here, and 2, the logic that's necessary to make sure that you don't end up like mixing boxes into multiple, like pushing boxes too quickly into like the incoming slice, or making sure that you reset things at the proper time. Are there like specific aspects of that you'd like to look at, or do you want to like kind of keep like building up the slice sort of like bit by bit? Just sort of like, here was the design process.
I'm still a little confused on this memory cell thing, to be totally honest. I get the general premise of it, in the sense that you just you have SS15 in the slice, and then this can globally decrement when the slice is no longer filtering, which makes sure each box is placed for a certain period of time. Do you reset this to SS15 for every box, it looks like?
Yep, that's exactly right. Okay. So the way that we go about that is, so we have this torch here, remember, right, for the dropper elevator, right? And that has like the right sort of like update order, right? So now we want to kind of like figure out what's the logic of inputting a box into the filter, right? So 1, we need to first make sure that we have boxes to input, right? We don't want to just like trying to like input boxes into slices that won't have any boxes coming into them for a while. Thing is that we want to make sure that there aren't too many boxes in the slices up ahead.
Yep.
Right. Because we are trying to like buffer our way through sorting the items, right? Because we're using this kind of simple approach, right? Where search is dependent upon merge globally. So what is the container that when it has items has what is the container that when it has items, it means that those boxes are ready to go into the filter?
That's the dispenser, right?
That is the dispenser, but the dispenser is pretty far away from our input hopper here.
Yeah.
Is there something closer?
Like I'm playing Blue's Clues or something.
Yeah.
I mean, the dropper, technically speaking, because they get pushed straight into the dispenser. But
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So the dropper tells us when we have boxes to put into the slice. What's the container that's within the slice that tells us, hey, there's way too many boxes, right? We're backing up, right? What's the container that's going to overflow if you end up just kind of pushing boxes in?
The dropper here will, and the hopper will as well.
I think there will be a container that overflows before that dropper. Remember, so if we're thinking about overflow, we're coming in from this side, right? So what's the first container coming in from the chain from the right-hand side? that's in the slice.
I mean, there's 4 containers here, so
There's 4 containers. You got a 25% probability, and only one of the containers is in the slice.
the hopper.
Our slice is this 2 wide tile. Yeah, it's that hopper. So what we want to do is we want to, so long as there aren't too many boxes in the hopper, and there are boxes in the dropper, we want to trigger this torch, right? We want this torch to turn on. So what that ends up being is that we want, in the case that we have 1, 0, we have the torch turn on. But in all other cases, we want the torch to be off, right? Because if we have no boxes to sort, then we don't need the torch to be on. If we have too many boxes that are buffering, we don't want the torch to be on. And if we have both, even in that case, we don't want the torch to be on. So we can do that with a pretty easy to implement nimply here. So we have 2 barrels like this. Let me actually go see what color I was using here. Apparently I was using emerald blocks. I don't think I used a color. Well. What color do we want, folks? I'm going to say yellow. You have a year of school left. There's always storage tech school.
Dude, sorry, I was just chatting in private. But
Oh, I see.
I
A nimply does what? A nimply is like, and it checks whether or not one input, like a particular input is on and the corresponding input is off. So it's like an AND gate, but one of the inputs is inverted. So we do this. I think actually I put too many in there. It's like an XOR, but one way. Yeah, I guess that's a way of thinking about it. Yeah, it's like a XOR that isn't symmetric. So the way that I end up doing it is like this. But here we have a problem, right? Because this redstone dust is going to power this repeater. So I just redirect it. I don't know how I redirect it. Oh, I redirect it with a tripwire hook. But I think these are evil in the new version, right? They'll break you apart. Yeah, very evil. Okay, I'm told. The target block here is not strictly required, but it is useful if you want to lock the cyclical variable sorter while it's running. Because that'll make sure that the redstone dust doesn't power these bottom droppers here. Okay. Now the next thing that we need to do is it's the thing that I believe TIS mentioned, right? Which is, hey, we need to get SS15 into this signal strength memory cell. And we know that whenever this torch turns on, we're gonna send a box into the cyclical variable sorter. So what we can do is we can just kind of take a reading off of this dust line, and I do it in kind of a funky way here, where I use a composter and a comparator. This is really just for stylish points. It's the same thing as doing this. No tweakery.
Couldn't you just also use a trapdoor wall?
Could I do a trapdoor wall? What are you thinking of?
Oh, this is solid state. Wait.
No. This is not solid state. This is a pulse.
No, I mean on the bottom.
Oh, on the bottom. Oh, yes, the bottom is solid state. The bottom has to be solid state.
Yeah. No. So
Yeah.
this wouldn't work. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think. Oh wait, this actually has to be a glass block. Sorry, because just in case you get QC from the observer on the right. I just like the style points of it looking like cauldrons, but you don't have to wire it. You don't. It doesn't like this is not a trick that requires it to be cauldron comparator. I just think this looks prettier.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but you'll see that if I break this, I'll just let that go. If I trigger this comparator, the tile tick like the scheduling works out that this comparator turns on, and you're able to get the signals from the memory cell. Yeah. A nice add-on to this is actually because you end up powering the signals from the memory cell on both edges, right? But currently, if we do that, that means we're going to power the signals from the memory cell when we turn it on, and when we turn when we turn the filter on, and when we turn the filter off, which is not what we want to do. Rather, we only want to trigger the memory cell when we turn the filter on. So the way that this wiring really comes from Schmo, and I'd be remiss not to mention that. The way that we end up doing that is when the signals from the memory cell is turned on, we repower this piston. Because we're only gonna this piston, if we end up it'll just be kind of part of the logic, is that we don't want to turn on the torch when we already have a box in the slice. Did that make sense?
So you are saying basically you're just repowering this with this to make this a rising edge.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you repower this with the signals from the memory cell to make it a rising edge.
Wait, what if it's a rising edge? Can you just use a piston rising edge and do a repeater here?
With an observer pushing up.
Yeah, and then just solid block repeater.
This looks not tileable to me.
No, like this.
Can you do this?
What would you do on the bottom?
I think you'll still have to power the dust here, because you don't. If you get a box, right? Actually, I think the issue with this is timings or something. This ends up having a bad edge case.
Is this just too slow?
Yeah. Oh wait, sorry, my apologies. You have to get it when this piston retracts.
Oh, it's a falling edge.
Oh, falling edge.
It's a falling edge. Yeah. Because we're on the redstone dust, so we're inverted from the torch.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so you need to get it on the falling edge of the dust.
But the current wiring does it on both edges, and that's not an issue, right?
Yeah, it being on both edges doesn't matter, so long as you power, you pre-power the dust while there's a box in the slice. Yeah, you have to do that anyways. That's probably something I should have mentioned, but I forgot. There's 3 conditions to when you can input a box into the slice. There's not a box in the slice right now. There is a box to be input, and there's not too many boxes ahead. Right, so we need to have those three variables met. So the barrel here is doing the variable that there are boxes to be put into the dropper. This comparator being read off the hopper, that's doing there aren't too many boxes up ahead. Now we just have to do one more that says there's a box in the slice. And the way that you do that is by powering the dust. So the way that I end up doing that is I wire it like this. It's just kind of a janky bit of wiring that sort of fits. There might be another way of doing that. It's not all too problematic one way or the other.
So what's the advantage? I'm sorry, can you go over again? What's the advantage of having this comparator read off of this dropper, turn off this comp?
Having this comparator read
Off
off
of
the
the
dropper,
dropper,
turn
yeah.
off the comp.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we want to check that, like, let's think about our like truth table here, right? We're trying to do 1 in the dropper, 0 in the hopper, and then like 0 in the slice, right? So this like yellow block here is the slice.
hmm
So we want 1 0 0 gives you 1. So what does the AND gate for that look like? Let's find out. So we want 1 0 0 gives you 1. So this is going to be 1. This is going to be 0 0, and this is 1. So now if I have some levers, now this torch is only going to turn on when we have 1 0 0. But if I have like any other combination, the torch is not going to. So that's why we end up inverting the dropper. Dropper is 6.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You only push if you can push. It's not buffering the next slice, etc. Sure.
Yeah. So the hopper here is the hopper here determines whether or not you're buffered into the next slice, right? So you get 10 boxes of buffer. So that means you get up to 10 searches or merges, really 10 searches, before you have to stop and like slow down, and you're slow down by merging operation. That's honestly actually something that's very advantageous for cyclical variable sorters, because especially for these like simple ones and these naive ones, when you are stopped, like when you are buffered by the rate at which you can merge items into the output box, then it's really beneficial to have a buffer within each slice, so that way you can search through more boxes.
Yeah, it makes
sorry,
sense.
was I cutting out there? Or
No, I heard you.
okay. Oh yeah, this trapdoor wall thing might work as well. This is some fancy new kid on the block wiring here.
This is my favorite rising F.
I see. I gotcha. Yeah. I think one thing that like Shmo and I use to like justify having a trigger on both edges is that you might get like an edge case where this like you store signal strength 14 instead of storing signal strength 15 because you just
because it decrements at the wrong time. Yeah.
because you decrement at the wrong time. Because this is a global line. So if you trigger it twice, then and they're both within the period of the clock, which it happens to be. So you're guaranteed to always have an SS15 at some point. You can also just like slow down the clock period, so that way it works at SS14 as well. That's like another solution.
Did you ever consider having these memory cells be less than SS15?
Yes, but it runs into a bug. So okay, yes, in like 3 different ways. One of the ways that I'm going to tell you now runs into a bug. So one thing that we were thinking about is we had like a composter here that's like fill level 8, right? Because you don't really need this whole thing to like decrement again, waiting for another 19 potential items or 20 potential items.
When it's just a new box.
Right, when it's done. The issue there is that you might have the edge case of you have a box that looks like this. You have a whole bunch of unstackables, and then just a few items. Let's say like that. You might have a box that looks like this is a potential input box. these unstackables, right, they're going to be so high signal strength that they're going to pass through the filter and they're going to register as a match. They're going to register as a hit.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a problem because then what you're going to do is you're going to, you'll lock the filter for a little bit, but you have to like wait a whole 26 items before you can get to the actual time you're actually going to start filtering. Then, you might only pull out like 10 items, and then you'll have split stacks, and you won't have ideal output. Because you've only put the signal strength 8 to your memory cell as a buffer instead of signal strength 15.
I guess, wouldn't this reset this to SS15, or not SS15, sorry, SS8 every time an unstack goes through?
Yeah.
So if
SS8 is an
SS8
amount.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, you can reduce the amount of signal strength that's in here, but it's just going to increase the period of the clock.
Yeah. And then that doesn't solve the problem or help at all. So
yeah, the one case where it might be nice is you input like a lower signal strength when you know that the sorter has been like fully mapped, right? Like it has all of the buffer filter items that it needs. Then it's possible to reduce the amount of signal strength that you put into the memory cell. The issue there is that it's just like doing that is big.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we felt that the size, like this is quite small, I think, as far as like cyclical variable sorters go.
It is, yeah.
And for that, it's like quite a bit nicer. Respect.
Yeah, people don't like big things.
Yeah, don't like big things. Size does matter, as they say.
Size does matter.
Yeah, so that's kind of the core of like the top logic. And then at the bottom, it's literally just like there's an unstackable sorter on one side, there's a box loader on the other. The one thing that might be interesting to look at is the how the empty box distribution works. So the empty box distribution is completely callable. Right? So if you see this quartz line here,
Yep.
this here is an empty box call line. So if you have an empty box, like let's say the last slice here is calling an empty box, right? So if you're looking down the kind of like water stream here, there's no shulker boxes in, which you might not be like that might be kind of a shock to see, right? Now let's say the empty box, the last slice calls an empty box, assuming that there's empty boxes in there. Are there? Let's go find out. Oh yeah, there are. Okay. So now it's calling a whole bunch of empty boxes. And then it stops calling empty boxes when there is a shulker box in the slice that has item. I have no idea where those boxes are. Oh, everything's locked right now. Oh yeah, obviously. They're not going to... but if you kept hearing that chime, the note block going, every time that note block goes, it's trying to call an empty box into the sorter.
And the benefit of this is that you can then put partials in the slice, theoretically.
Yeah, so that's what this quartz line is for.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So this quartz line operates at 2 game ticks per slice, and the observer line operates at 4 game ticks per slice. So you can use the difference in timing between the observer line for the droppers and the repeaters here in the quartz line to kind of like select a particular slice, and then you put a particular box into that slice. This current configuration with the front end that it has is not set up to do that. Because there's only one input into the dropper line. But I figure if you're needing a system like that, you'll probably have fun designing the way to do it. And I wouldn't want to take away your fun. Just so
That's
that
so kind of you.
I can aura farm on main.
Yeah, so considerate. So it looks like then would you just call a single empty every time you need one?
Yep. You just call one empty.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on the back here, we just have like a simple loader. And one of the other nice things about the fact that you only call empty boxes when you need them is that it makes the box breaking logic really simple. Because you can just spam all the pistons. You don't have to check whether or not there's items in the box to break them.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
There's
Yeah.
only ever going to be boxes that have items in them.
Yep. It'll only call a box when it has items to load.
So,
This must make the reset of the slice, or like the reset of the boxes, really, really slow, I guess, though, right? Because you need to call a box from the front end before you place it, before you can load items after a full box.
yes, but there's enough. So I've accounted for this edge case. So if you count the number of inventories that are here between the filter and the hopper here, right? So there is, I think, 2 droppers and 2 hoppers. This is enough to completely unload a slice, completely unload one shulker box. And then the second thing that like this empty box call line does is that it permanently locks or it pauses the global decrement. So this is one of the advantages of using the global decrement, is that you can pause the sorter mid operation. So it also does that just in case you've run out of empty boxes as well. So you don't have to worry about that. Like it'll just be stopped. I think this clock will keep going. It'll keep playing the chime bell. But I'm actually calling that a warning signal to tell you to fill it up with empty.
I got you. That is cool.
So that's kind of the empty box distro. I think if you are designing your own cyclical variable sorter, I think it's really something you should consider. Designing your empty box distro in this way. One, cyclical variable sorting is just generally supposed to be like less box hungry as compared to like splitters.
Yeah.
Like that big alternative to cyclical sorting. Splitters are super box hungry. You'll end up getting 10, 20, 15 boxes per split. And then you have like Andrew's like idealer splitter, I forget what card splitter. And that one ends up like burning boxes, I think, at kind of like a pretty fast rate. So you're not saving boxes. So cyclical variable sorting, I think, fits in like this nice niche of like not being very box hungry. And
with I would say with the ideal splitter, you don't have to burn boxes necessarily, but it is the
I
fastest
guess you can just
way
unload them.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah, you just card unload them fast, but burning boxes is probably the best solution.
Yeah. So, but the nice thing about this is that you need no prefill either for the hoppers. So you don't have to like basically load up, 64 times like 8 boxes or whatever, before you can actually like use the sort. Do you have any other like kind of like general questions about the slice? Most of like the rest of it is all kind of like
Front end. Front end madness.
about the front end.
Yeah, I am be cool.
Okay. I think it'll be easier to talk about the front end while things are running. So I'm going to put some boxes in. I can show you also how to use it. So the kind of like player UI is here. You come in here, there's a chest on your left. I'm going to put 9 boxes. Right. The boxes stay in the chest while you're there, so it's waiting for player confirmation. If someone wants to press the button, wait, I'm assuming the filters have been set up. DatNerd, did you do this? Okay.
No, I have
like
prefilled everything. Yes,
my
everything is prefilled, all the non-stackables. I have run the
Your angel
array.
on Earth.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is usable.
Okay, I believe it's usable. Someone can press the button. Hopefully I don't have to debug while it's... Don't all press it at once. There we go. Okay, so the first thing that it does is that it initializes itself. You don't have to wire it like this. This just ended up being the most compact way to do it. You can see the global decrementer running right now. It's not actually decrementing anything, but the clock just runs while it's detecting activity. You can see that the hoppers have been unlocked by this fader over here. And now we're getting the global decrementer running. I forget what that gold chime means. Oh, wait, no, that means that that's the chime. That's not the gold. That's the bell. The chime means that shulker box has gone into the bottom. Right, so if you look into the water stream here, you'll see that there's one shulker box. Right, so it's been called and if you wait like a small little moment, I'm sure the next box will also be called, whatever the next item is. Let's talk front end. Oh, okay. The next one is probably called a second. There we go. Yeah, and now the line will. So you can also like see that like the response time isn't too bad. Calling the box to the slice. Given that cyclical variable sorting is already like, at least in this simple concept, quite slow, you end up having enough buffer time, like having to wait for a bunch of items to push their way into the box. Yeah, so the front end. So the front end is kind of like split up into sort of 3-ish portions. So you have this kind of like top portion here. So this area that I'm kind of like demarcating with like the blue wool. Actually, we know, gone. Okay, so just this part here. This here is the system activity line. So the system activity line is this repeater here, right? So this is just taking a signal off of the memory cells. And if any of the memory cells are active, you end up powering this line. What this line does is that it starts the clock, right? So the clock is kind of this purple region. Let me do this in a way it's not crazy. This kind of here. So this sort of purple area contains the clock. Even this part is like, oh yeah, I can remove. Oh yeah, we can just have like corners. That's a good idea. Yeah, so like this purple region here is the clock. So what this is doing is it sends a 4 game tick pulse down. I think every 14 game ticks? Let me think. Yeah, I think it's every 14 game ticks. So every 14 game ticks, it sends a 4 game tick pulse at signal strength 2. So it's kind of very specific. But you'll notice that like there is some dust here that isn't flashing. This part here. What that is for is that this clock actually has 2 modes. So one of them is a constant signal, and the other one is a clocking signal. So the clocking signal sends out, as I mentioned, signal strength 2, 14 game ticks, 4 game tick pulse. The constant signal sends out a signal strength of 3. The reason that it does that is it's like a very minor optimization. If you know that every sorter in the slice is mapped, then you know you don't actually need to like have super long decrements, right? Waiting for 18 items to kind of pull out of the sorter. Instead, what I do is that if I detect that every slice in the sorter is mapped, I end up just having a constant global decrement that decrements each memory cell by 2 at a time, every 14 tick, instead of decrementing it by 1 every 14 ticks. So it's like quite a substantial like speed up. It's like a 7x speed up.
How are you detecting that right now?
So if we come down to the bottom here, so I'm detecting that via this quartz line. So this quartz line is a big OR gate of all of these dropper latches.
Yeah.
So what these dropper latches do is they detect if a box has. That's the reason why it's like a latch, is because you might have the rare edge case of like you have exactly one shulker box, or sorry, you have exactly one shulker box and 18 of an item. Because then what will happen is that you'll break one shulker box here, but you'll never get a new shulker box because you don't have enough items to like break out of the buffer. So if you're like looking at the slice without like this dropper latch memory, you'll end up like in that very particular edge case, you won't have the constant decrement. So there's just a dropper latch.
Damn.
Yeah, you have to be careful about all of these specific cases. It also made the wiring smaller by 1 block. But yeah, so this is just getting a big OR signal, or sorry, a NOR signal from all of those dropper latches. Then it just routes straight up.
Holy slider.
Holy slider, yeah. It routes straight up, comes to here. And then what this does is it decreases there's a constant signal here of signal strength 1 that decreases the clock by 1 signal strength value. It gets rid of that. So then this barrel, which is outputting signal strength 3, is going to output signal strength 3, and then will go 1, 2, 3. And it'll power this repeater and this torch. So this torch will pull away this block, which means that this repeater can't cut the comparator. And this repeater will will end up locking the 6 game tick repeater down there. But because of the tile pick priority of repeaters pointing into other diodes, the repeater that's pointing into the 6 game tick repeater, that will power first. So the repeater ends up getting locked in the off state. That one.
I got you.
Yeah. So that's how I end up getting the constant signal. Yeah, it's a pretty minor optimization, but it also increased the density of the slice, so I take it. Yeah,
No, I think
like
that's
before,
definitely a
otherwise, like,
worthwhile optimization.
no, like otherwise it literally like the bottom of the slice looks empty, and it's just not aesthetically. Because it's like basically like all of here, like I can show you. So this is like a 2 wide copy of the slice. Like this goes away, 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 this goes, and then it's like the bottom of this like looks like it has nothing, because it doesn't have any. So I added this feature.
Hey, if it helps, it helps.
It helps it
Yeah.
out. So, yeah. So this will go like that. Yeah. Just like this. Leave the 6 game tick repeater, or is it a 2 game? Yeah. But that's how I'm getting the constant signal on the clock.
Very nice.
Now the slice has been reset. And now it looks like it looks like nice wiring. It's crazy, we're just adding a couple blocks. Yeah. So the next little bit of the front end. So that part was all like the kind of like purple. So the blue part is the activity, right? This is the activity line. And then this purple part is the clock. The next little bit that's kind of important is going to be the reset. So the reset is controlled by this latch. Right. So that latch up, it's in the sort state, and when it's down, it's in the reset state. So the front end for this is really, unfortunately, quite complicated, because you just have to make sure the timings of all of the dueling hopper setups are good. Because you need to make sure that you flip the polarity of the dueling hoppers setup in the same game. Because if you don't do that, then it's possible that during a dry fire, right? So if there's an empty slice, which is possible within a cyclical variable sorter, right? If you have at the end, it's actually not even possible; it's guaranteed. At the end of your input run, of your input batch, you'll have a bunch of empty boxes, and those empty boxes will flow down into the slice. And then you won't have any mapped filters. In that case, you'll end up pushing one item into the filter hopper, but then the filter hopper will push it back, or vice versa. You're undoing the reset. So you have to make sure the timings are quite precise. And then there's also timings to deal with this stuff here. So there's like this extra line, right? This extra locking line here for these pistons. And that's because to lock the hopper that pulls from the filter. So if I'm looking at the slice value, to externally lock this hopper, we use this torch here, right? Because that's like kind of the only way to sort of wire it. Because we have this comparator here, so we can't lock it from that side. Can't really lock it from this block, like coming in, right? So what we end up doing, we route it through the issue with that is that it'll depower this torch. This torch here. It'll depower this torch, which will retract this sticky piston, which will then set the memory. Now the big issue with that is that when you set the memory cell, you end up retracting this piston. And if you retract this piston, now you can't lock or operate. So that's really bad.
Oh man.
Yeah. So what I do is I have really good timings to push this up. Right. So basically, when power these, like when you depower this torch, you have to push this. Like you're basically locking the slice from. You're locking the filter from being able to set the memory cell.
Mm-hmm.
So the timings for that are kind of really weird. So you can see that here. I'm gonna remove these melon blocks. Sorry. So when the redstone block pushes down, you need to power the. You have to power this piston, and then power these lines. Take after this piston is in, or 6 game ticks. Then over here, like this little like repeater setup. This is actually a pulse extender. This is a pulse extender to make sure that you don't retract this piston until 12 game ticks after the redstone block has pushed away. So you need it to be, it's kind of like an ABBA thing. Basically, the first thing that needs to happen is that you lock all of these in place. And then the last thing that happens is you unlock. But you have to unlock them at the same time that this torch powers. So you have to wait for that torch to power, and there's quite a bit of delay because you have to wait for this torch to turn off, and then back. So an extra 4 game ticks of delay, which is why why it's like 12 game ticks as opposed to 8, just a regular repeater. Yeah. It also means that this wiring here has to be slime.
That'd be annoying to do.
So this was kind of
solid blocks.
This is what prevented my slideshow from being longer, because I think I don't know how many hours did we spend working on this one, Dean?
Oh, I'm
I
not
think at least
sure
an hour, right, too.
exactly. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So that's kind of what the reset logic is like. It's about to reset soon. Maybe. I have no idea. Let's see. Oh, I don't think there's enough items. I don't think there's enough items to make it reset. We're gonna do something a little bit cheaty, which is we're gonna put some extra items and we're gonna put some extra boxes to start.
So is there a minimum count of boxes for this course?
Is there a minimum count? How do you mean? I think it's TIS because
Yeah, it's also for me.
it was happening for me as well. You were asking is there a minimum
What's
number of
up?
boxes? You're asking is there a minimum number of boxes?
Yeah, I was asking if, like, a certain batch number of boxes.
Yo,
So-
your Wi-Fi is completely fucked.
Yeah, you're not like there's not like a minimum number of boxes you need to put into the cyclical variable sorter. There is probably like a like I guess the minimum number of boxes you need one. But even still, actually, it's designed in such a way that like if you just press the button and you put no boxes into the system, it'll just realize that it has no items to put in. There's like a certain number of boxes you need, and they need to have like a certain level of like mixedness, right? So they need to have a certain amount of internal variance for cyclical variable sorting to be like quite like the utility of cyclical variable sorting will increase. Does that make sense? I don't know if I answered your question, but I hope I did. But simply, no, there's not a minimum beyond the natural numbers. Okay, sounds good. I think hopefully we'll be able to see the sorter reset. Do we have to? Am I good to tick warp, or does someone need me to? Okay. I'm gonna tick warp like 5,000 or so. 200? Oh man, I put a lot of. I'll do another 1,000. Okay. We're getting there. And I'll just jump us ahead. Oh, I think a lot of these boxes have like a lot of.
Yo, Andrews.
Hello.
Okay. Oh, there's still more. Okay. There's too much white wool in here. I'm gonna do something and take items out of it. Okay. Yeah, so if you're interested in seeing the reset logic, oh, I think I took past it. The reset logic, so it's reset now, and probably reset actually quite soon because I don't think there's too many boxes to be had. I can also remove some. Okay, so it should reset relatively soon, hopefully. Okay, looks like it. I think that was the last box process. Oh, no, there's one more. Oh, wait, no. No, okay, that was the last box. That is one of the kind of like flaws of the system. Okay, so now it's resetting. You can see that it had to call a box, so the global decrement stopped. And now it's going to reset. And now it's done. And then you get that little bump bump. And it's told you that it's done. Yeah, I suppose if you have other questions, I guess, about like the slice, I'm happy to answer them. Or if you want me to take a look at other cyclical sorters, I'm also happy to do that.
I mean, I guess, is my Wi-Fi working fine right now?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Like, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I guess there haven't too many
Now it's fine.
Oh,
since the one that you initially. There we go.
hi. Yeah, I wasn't able to hear you. I heard vaguely there haven't been many. I see. Okay, well, I hope this cyclical variable sorter here at least can give you some ideas for your next one. What are you all interested in, at least in cyclical variable sorting?
Wait, what
Oh
did
my.
you just say?
What about cyclical variable sorting interests you? I think one thing that I'm quite intrigued by is the notion of copper golem cyclical variable sorting.
Yo.
For the purpose of unstackables. Yeah, but for the purpose of unstackables, because right now there's no way to group unstackables together without using a player. Or I'm talking about like generic unstackables. So using a copper golem as a form of as like some kind of cyclical variable sort for 9 items at a time, it might have some utility in that respect.
Copper golem variable sorter.
Copper golem cyclical variable sort. Think of how cool of a name that is. then you can make it hyper-threaded, and it's like, whoa, what a guy.
Well, I guess we need to update.
Yeah. This one is not hyper-threaded. So this is a simple cyclical sort. Hyper-threading logic is quite a bit larger than this, at least in the that I have. But I'm currently working on a hyper-threaded cyclical sort pedal. I think Copper Golem is 1.6 something. That's what I assume. Did it release last year? I don't know. I still play in 1.7. This is all. Yeah, I believe Cronus did.
I think it's
I think they have their-
1.21.9.
The happy guy. I maybe you could make a Copper Golem cyclical variable. Oh, I see. Sure. If someone wants to paste it. What's this thing here? Oh, this is an MIS. Okay, I won't get distracted though. Hello. Oh, this is quite small. Oh, is it 3 white tile? I see. Oh, I see. Oh wait, what's the pot? Is it just fun? Okay, just in the... How does the is
So if I recall correctly, like logic-wise, it is pretty similar to what you have, but it is using a code to detect if the box is matching or not. So
I see. Okay, so it's
yes,
using the CUD.
there is a code on this side, and so
Alright.
like while it is running, it keeps the box placed, but as soon as it stops, it breaks the box.
I see. Yeah, so it's only using the CUD for really breaking the box. Run the... Yeah, this actually reminds me a lot of Melon-Tech CUD split. Melon-Tech CUD, like not the one that's on the one that's on Mike's channel. So that one also uses a CUD only to detect when the item types change, but it still uses the SS2. So you can use a CUD to like just drain the... So it looks something...
Um. What were you saying?
I'm just saying that you can use a CUD to detect, to like clear out the bottom, um, the bottom of the hopper. You want. Yeah, the CUD is nice for filter setting, but you can also use the CUD because what you can do is you can detect clocking pulses of the CUD. So if you get pulse n of the CUD and pulse n minus 1 of the CUD, and use that to remove an item, that also works. So that's how the 8 game tick CUD splitter works. Oh yeah? What's the issue? Oh, what the? Why is there like a... Oh. I'm very lost. Where is the cyclical sort? It's really weird. Okay, do you want to explain why it's weird? Because I can't,
Is my internet working now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Let me know if it's cutting out again. Basically, the premise of this is that it's just a global reset. So every slice feeds into a global fader, and that fader stays going until everything is done. So it's really slow because every slice has to wait for every other slice. But because you
Yeah.
do global breaking, you don't need to do any buffer control. Right, so you don't ever have to check if there's slices buffering up somewhere because every box gets broken at the same time.
Yeah. You have a buffer of 1.
I mean, every slice has a single box in it, and as soon as every slice is done, they all break and instantly get placed in the next slice.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is no buffer. Yeah.
I see. Okay, no. Okay, so we count... I think we count buffer different. To me, there's always a buffer. Because there's always a box that's in the next slice. The amount is how many allow. But you're counting buffer as like the actual buffer. You're using the buffer the way that it's as a...
Yeah, I'm using the word buffer just to mean like the number of boxes that aren't currently being unloaded.
Yeah. I gotcha.
So the buffer drains, like there's literally only one place that you buffer boxes in that sense, and that's at the beginning. And then it slowly saturates the slices, and then every time every slice is done, like all the slices are done, it breaks all the boxes and sends them to the next slice. And then repeats that process until every box is checked every slice. Rinse, repeat.
I see. How is this like supposed to be tiled?
So this is 3 wide tiled slices right now. We have a 2 wide tiled version that we're also working on that is basically done as well.
Oh, I see.
And
So
so
the
you
tiles
can, yeah. The thing over here, this is empty that we just fit into the footprint. But yeah, there was something with the timings with this where like the next cycle would start a little too quickly that we couldn't really replicate consistently. So it was just like, I don't know, we abandoned it because it was just like we were gonna go 2 white tiled anyways, and this was more like proof of concept. So
yeah, I got you.
But yeah, the biggest issue with this is just it's so incredibly slow, which is already like it takes the issue of Sigfor being slow and then like triples it. So
I see. Yeah, I think there might be value in doing like a global breaking setup for like if you can make it really small.
Yeah, which this is kind of that example.
I see. I think you can probably get even smaller.
Yeah, well, you can do 2 wide tiled slices, and it's pretty much the same footprint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can go smaller. Yeah, I wish I had that schem on me. I would paste it, but I don't. The other thing is, like, technically speaking, cart sick bars typically do global
Mhm.
break, like a form of global breaking, where you do like a global check after the
I-
cart is done pulling every time, and then you
I see.
use stateless logic to prevent breaking if it's not done unloading. But that's an entirely different world. So
Yeah, I reckon that for the cart Sikvar, you don't have as much, because you won't have as much overhead just from the fact you're unloading at one, like you merge at 1x hopper speed per item type. Instead, you can merge it, I don't know, like 8 or whatever.
yeah, you remember that? Yeah, roughly 8,
So
slightly lower, but
I see. Yeah, see, I guess it's not as bad to just have global breaking. But
yeah. Well, when I say global breaking, I guess they're very different. It's a little more like what you do in your slice, where you have every slice controls its own breaking, but you have a global, like, you have global decrement. We just have a global check. So, like,
I
there's
see.
basically, like, it sends a pulse to try and break the box. It will succeed if the box needs to be broken, and it will fail if it does not.
I see.
Yeah.
What is your method of using a variable filter here? Is it's SS2?
It's SS2.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's SS. If you look in the filters,
Yeah.
it will buffer to SS3 when it's filtering. And then when you want to drain the filter, you just buffer to SS, like you change the global signal strength line.
I see.
Yeah, you literally just turn it off in this case.
Yeah.
And then it will buffer, and then it will clear out the filter. Which,
I
yeah,
gotcha.
this is pretty standard for variable filters.
Yeah, no, I was around. I was around when these were made.
I don't know
No,
what you've
actually,
seen and haven't
I think
seen.
what was it? So these things. So I was working on a 4-state variable filter. So the 4 states are like your unmapped. So that's one state. Another state is going to be your mapped. Another state is going to be your filtering. And then the other state is that you have an unstackable in them. This ended up not panning out so well, but Crane had a very good idea to do this like kind of subtraction thing. So then I have all of those like Sikvars I showed you in like the Qualcomm era of the slideshow. That those are all using like this kind of concept here, where you use signal strength 3 filters and signal strength 2 is set. Yeah, but those ones are also all hyper-threaded as well. Though I don't know, I don't know how useful an optimization it is after a certain point. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things, and it'd be funny to have you read it at some point. I wrote a document to help try and explain SIGFAR to people, which is now kind of embarrassing because, you're the person who made it. You should have done the document, but
If I haven't written it in the last 6 years, I mean,
yeah. And I just kind of explained some of the normal issues, like the reason that people optimize it in certain ways. And one of the optimizations I explained was hyper-threading. But it doesn't deal with like one of the primary issues being that items, like, you can have one box that just takes a really long time to unload and everything else gets stuck behind it. And then you have a whole bunch of dead slices because of it.
Yeah. So the kind of ways of going about that is what I call bypass.
Yep.
So there's sort of like 2 sort of frameworks for doing bypass. So one of them is basically like you have like a top line. Does this go the direction I want? It does. Okay. So you have you have some line that looks like this, right? And on the top you have like a bunch of searchers. And then how the hell do you get the arrow to point down? Can you not get the arrow to point down? Oh no, you can. Oh no, that's up. Is it this way? No.
It's down right here.
Is it this
Oh,
way?
you mean the one on the side?
Okay, it's this way. You have it go down into the merger.
Yeah.
And then you have it like loop back. Oh man. Oh man. There we go. There we go. You have it like go back into the searching
yeah.
line.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
I'll-
this I was working on Melon. This at least however I was doing it was like really bad. Like it ended up just being really big.
Yes,
to the
it
point
is.
that I didn't
Yeah.
feel like it was worth it.
Yeah. Well, I'll paste what I did. This is also kind of embarrassing, but I made a card stick var with grouper logic or bypass logic, which is behind you, and that's
Whoa.
yeah.
I see. Where is the searcher? Is this the searcher on top?
Yeah, the groupers. So I did a 3-way titleable grouper on top,
Okay.
and that does the searching process, and then it drops down into the cart core below.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have done that. I'm working on a new one right now, actually, that uses a bit of it uses groupers, but I found so with this the biggest issue or one of the biggest issues is that the box has to come from the slice. Like we can look at your logic diagram with the arrows. It has to go from out of a slice. I guess I'll just use like red glass or something. So it comes out of a slice, and then it has to go all the way to the front end, right? All the way over here to check for unstackables, right? Because unstackables break the filters, and then it has to go back into the search line. I guess it would be like, then we go this way, and then it goes back into the search line and has to map to the next slice. So that's one of the big issues. So that process takes a little bit, that travel time. And then the second issue is that the search process uses groupers, and groupers buffer a box, right? So they have the filter and then the box. And so if you have a slice with a single item type in it, like a single box of an item type, then in order for that slice to do anything, that grouper needs to reset and give up its variable filter. Right. And so you need to wait until every single other box in the input has checked against that slice before it can start processing its single box.
I see. Okay.
And so slices have a lot of dead time.
Here, I can give you some ideas, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I can explain the logic that I came up with as well, and you can give your thoughts on that as well.
Okay, so there's kind of like 3 sort of variations of doing bypass. So one of them, and they get kind of closer and closer to like dynamic as you go. So like this is sort of like the most basic form of bypass. Like this is, I designed a cyclical variable sorter, and it's very easy to make a sorter into a searcher, right? Because instead of unloading the box, you just break the box and send it down.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the basic thing. The next step up is if you're familiar with like the set-based like parallel unloaders.
Yeah.
Here you have your searcher
yeah.
External to the slice.
I think Carrie explained this to me actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we'll see if it's the same thing or not.
I imagine that it's probably pretty similar. I think it's a pretty natural extension.
Yeah.
So imagine that like, this chest here is a set, right? Or actually you don't even need this to be a set. You just need this to be an ordered list of the items, right? Then what you do is you basically like, so this is like a way to like mod a cyclical variable sorter into a bypass cyclical variable sorter, you input directly into a slice, depending on if you register that item,
Yeah.
right? So you still allow the cyclical variable sorter to like push items forward on its own. So that way you don't need to send boxes back to the front after
Mhm.
they've merged. You can
Yeah.
like kind of leave them there and then let them sit on their own, and you just basically get rid of all of the failed boxes, right? So this is more useful like kind of like the fewer number of slices you have. Like if you only have like 4 to 6 slices. So I had used something like this in designing like a dig sorter for Melon. I don't think it ended up going anywhere, but the idea is there. The next sort of thing is like going a step up from that. Is you store the output box with the item in the set.
Hmm.
So you have like one box here and like its corresponding item here, and you send the item in the box. So you send the output box into a bunch of like concurrent slices, right? So at that point, you're just doing like a first, like those first item type filters, right? So
Oh,
the
it's like
leading
an
item
S bar.
filters. Yeah. No, not an S bar. Yeah, you're just using the leading item type,
Mhm.
the leading item type filter, and you basically send it. It's not exactly that, but it's fairly similar. You send the output box and you send the input box with the filter item. So
Oh, okay, so you send like the filter item was the item that you pulled out of the box, and you send that independently.
yeah, so you send that independently. So you define what the filter should be.
Yeah.
And then this is really close to getting you to dynamic. All that dynamic does is you are kind of being predictive about how fast you need to sort out items. So if you end up having like a lot of boxes that have one particular item type, then
Mhm.
instead of merging that item type at 1x speed, you do it at like 2x or 3x or 4x,
Mhm.
whatever your unit of currency is. With dynamic, it's a little bit harder to like manage that. Is the main thing, but that's sort of like how you evolve from like the simplest cyclical variable sorter to like a hyper-threaded one to
Yeah,
like a
it's like
simple
that's a
S one
final
to
evolution where you have multiple item types mapped to multiple slices. You have local reset for all the slices. Like,
Well, it's not even local reset. Like the slices are entirely independent.
yeah.
You just send the output box and you send the item and you send the input box, right? So the slice is entirely in parallel. The main thing then just becomes like, what does your search algorithm look like? What is the
Mhm.
machinery that you need for that?
Yeah, it's crazy, complicated.
No, what is the thing that you were thinking about, Carrie?
The thing that Carrie told me about, and this was a long time ago, and maybe I'm sure she can do a better job explaining it than I can. But basically, the premise was just that you run all your boxes like through your search process independently, and then you assign like this is for local reset with ideal output. So basically, each slice knows the number of boxes that it needs to process before it's checked, like before it's unloaded every single box with a certain item type. And then after you've checked, like you've unloaded all the number of boxes, you reset the slice and you can call another item type. So you
I
know,
see.
like basically, yeah, you
So
know the content, so you can reset slices as you go.
I see. So how do you end up dealing with boxes that have multiple items within the same cycle?
Yeah, so you would so groupers, basically you would set an array of group. Do you know? I'm assuming you know what groupers do.
Yeah.
Basically, like because you're putting the box down, it will check the entire contents of the box, and so you would set an array of groupers to do your search. And so if one box appears multiple times, instead of having the like basically the grouper just acts as a counter, so it counts the number of boxes that belong to any given item type. And so if one item type's in the same box, or two item types are in the same box in the same cycle, then it would just count in both those slices. And until both those boxes have been unloaded in the cycle, that slice doesn't reset.
I see. Okay.
So
Why do you need a counter?
So the counter, basically, if you don't count, or if you don't have some way of that's local reset, because you know the number of boxes. So the counting is just to know that there are a certain number of boxes with that item type, and you just need to, for ideal output, you need to know the number of boxes with that item type in it to reset at the correct time.
Okay, so let's say I have like this shulker box here.
I could be adding, yeah.
Okay. Like, let's say I have this shulker box here that has oak logs, magenta glazed terracotta, and chests.
Yep.
Right? Let's say the grouper decides that it has like count 1, like it increases the count for 1 for oak logs, and it increases the count 1 for magenta glazed terracotta. And let's say in a different world, the lime glazed terracotta one resets. Right? So now I can input a new item. And let's say that happens to be the item chests. Right? So currently oak logs and magenta glazed terracotta are in use. Does the box now go to chests?
If it's done unloading these, then you would have to check this against the new filter. This is actually the point that I got confused in the logic, and I didn't really understand how you could do it, because you can't set multiple passes. Like after you've checked, you need to check all the filters, and then every time you set a new filter, you need to check all other boxes again. Yeah, so it's like semi-local. Like you can local reset once. But yeah, I mean, Carrie's here, so she can explain it. That'd be better.
Okay.
Yeah, redo the buckets. Can you explain what you mean by bucket?
So you sort boxes into buckets, I assume? And each bucket corresponds to an item type? Or does it correspond to multiple item types? Okay. Okay, yeah, so this is similar to what I think both Crane and I were working on for dynamic Sikvar. Except it doesn't sound like you have a way to increase the speed of merging.
Into multiple slices per item type.
Yeah, so you basically you predict. So basically, if one item type is taking a really long time, or if it has a lot of boxes in queue, you start up another output box, right? And if it turns out that if it turns out that you don't actually need that extra output box, then you end up just merging them at the end within the same. Like you can merge them within the Sikvar itself. Yeah, because generally speaking, Sikvar falls under the like slow storage theory, where it's like, let me just be not very laggy, and instead not make compromises on how items should be stored or like displayed to the player. So it's like, I accept that my storage will be slower, but it'll have like a nicer user experience at the end of the day. Because you know your storage is going to be slow, you can afford to kind of do these kinds of like calculations to sort of like minimize the number of box processing you have to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think maybe card stick for makes card stick for kind of a bastardization of the Sigfar theory if it's about slow for no
I don't
compromises.
think it's a complete like bastardization. I think there's like a nice middle ground probably with it.
Yeah.
I haven't played around at all with like the new cart features, right? Because I'm not in any modded version. But like the I think the cart thing can be useful. And at least with like cyclical variable sorting, I think there's like something to be had there. Yeah, but I don't know exactly how it would best be like implemented.
Yeah, well, I was saying I kind of explained some of the issues that I had when I did the card stick far over there, and kind of I had to come up with some different solutions that uses like similar logic, but essentially it uses, I call it single pass logic, where basically you do the initial sorting into slices using the groupers. And then after all the boxes have been initially sorted, you reset all the groupers. And then from that point forward, you just pass the boxes from slice to slice like normal.
I see. Okay, so that's more in like the vein of like this thing here. So here it's like you have like a magic highway almost.
Yep, on top. Yeah.
Oh my god. Is it this way?
His arrows.
Hell yeah. Easy. I got it. All right. So you have like the magic highway. And then you have like local roads at the bottom that like determine how far you go. So here, like you can, this one is pretty easy to implement. I think it's honestly easier to implement this than this. Because all you need for this is just any generic cyclical variable sorter, and then you just like find some fancy way to like route a bunch of water streams on top.
Yeah. Now, so the thing with cart Sigfar that makes it like the biggest compromise is often going to be the unstackable handling. I've found at least, because it's having it in slice makes the slice a lot bigger. It's like 2 blocks taller than it would otherwise be, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels like a lot. Or you can do unstacked sorting globally, and that is a lot slower. Or you can do some very crazy cursed stuff with groupers that can handle unstacks, which I've spent a lot of time trying to do, and it sucks.
I see. So my imagination for this would be like you have like a seed item that you assign to the cart. Do you like yeet the carts to get the item out, or like do you unload them?
You unload them. Yeah, you unload them. So if you come to me, this is a cart unloader. This is one by Monica. Yeah, this is the cart unloader. So you put the cart down on these curved rails, and then it gets pulled by the hopper.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you yeet the cart.
Okay. Oh, and you get rid of the blocker items before?
Yeah, so this is like, I think this may have been Monica as well, but basically the way that most card Sigfar filters work now is you have you transfer the entire filter from cart to cart.
Okay.
And I guess I can say this is based on Monica's loader layout, if that's not technically correct. I've been calling it Monica's loader because I took this loader like explicitly from her, and then I just had to wire it because the wiring didn't exist.
I see.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is Monica's Sigfar. That would be a crime against humanity. Call this hers. No. Yeah, this is mine.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically it's just like you pull the whole filter. Like I was talking about the concept, Carrie. I don't know who came up with the concept for the
I see.
four.
So you're like just cycling, like, so if like you have blocker A, B, C, D, so like let's say A, B, C, D, and then you have your item. So that's I. The next cart will be like underneath the previous cart for 4 game ticks, and then pick up
Yeah, it'll
A, B,
pull the
C, D
blockers.
ticks. Or like
So
5 game ticks or something.
Yeah, if you look in the cart I just placed, I put together what the cart looks like. And the I being the item filter is at the very end, and then yeah, so it pulls 5 items.
Yeah.
And then when you reset the filter, you just have it pull 4 items instead, and then the filter item will go into the loader.
So my question, I guess, is like, why not have it pull the 5 items every time?
Because I mean,
I see. So you only pull out 4 to reset it, and the last item goes into
the loader. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's a tough cookie. Because now because you have enough speed with the hopper carts that you need to be able to search fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So groupers it's 8 game ticks per box. So searching is fine. The
Okay.
problem is after the initial pass where all the boxes go through, I just put some boxes into sort as well. So I can kind of explain the process. So there's an LUF at the front, which basically just checks the
What is
first
an
slot.
LUF?
It's a lead unstack filter, or a lead item filter if you call it an LIF. But basically, it just checks the first slot in every box to make sure that it's not an unstack. If it is an unstack, it pulls it out.
Okay.
And then it sends them through the groupers, which will assign item types to slices. Are these not filters? No, I think this is fine. Yeah. So, and then once the items go into the slice, they start getting unloaded. Yeah, so that's like the general search cycle is through the groupers. Yes, it is. The new slice that I have is unstack compatible, and there's a whole bunch of slices that are unstack compatible that other people have made. But yeah, so what was your question again? I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of it.
I'm just trying to get like a sense of what is going on here.
Yeah, okay. So the groupers
got a stack, and then those I see, okay. And this breaks with unstackables, why?
In this case, if an unstackable makes it into the grouper, it will break the filter for a cycle, and then you need to get the unstack out of the grouper somehow, which is no good. And then the second part is that if an unstack ends up in the filter slot, then it will just pass through the system repeatedly, and you have to get the unstack out somehow.
I see.
And you don't want to put it into the loader unless you wanted to do something with that, which would be really annoying. So, yeah. Unstacks basically just brick a slice if they get caught in the loop.
I see. And it also will slow you down, right? Quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like you could theoretically leave an unstack in a slice for a cycle and then have some way of getting it out to the end, but it would just reduce your sorting speed by potentially up to 8x hopper speed, which is not good.
Well, no, it'll reduce you by 64. Because your carts are timed here, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that it would turn that slice off for the entire that cycle. Yeah, like that slice just would not
work. What is the detector rail for?
That is to check how full the cart is. So basically, if the cart fills up, then you assume there are still items in the box to be unloaded. And if the cart
I
doesn't
see.
fill up, given the amount of time that you give it to pull, you know that the box is empty, and then you break the box.
I see. Okay. I see. And how much do you let it fill up to?
In this case, I think it's like 57 items.
I see.
You can do a lot of math for it. This whole thing is kind of awful, to be frank. Like, I don't like this thing that I made anymore. But yeah, it was like 57 items. And that was just the kind of a number I just chose.
Yeah, no, I reckon there's probably some room then to figure out how to get these things to work. Because I had tried to make like a 4x cyclical variable sorter with carts back in like 1.15, and I found it really hard, so I didn't do it.
Yeah, I think before cart eating, this kind of sucks.
Okay.
But with cart eating, you can, one, you don't have a whole bunch of idle entities that just kind of have to sit around. And two, like, you can keep the carts cycling without having to store them somewhere, which would be awesome as well. You just keep them in a dispenser.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like worth it to have because so you can backfill the slots of a cart, right? And then you allow the carts to pick up 5 slots at a time.
Yeah, that I don't think that would be worth it. So generally speaking, you want to be pulling as few items as you can and have the transition time between carts be as low as possible. Because you imagine you have 2 items in a cart or in a box, right? That cart, it sits there for 64 game ticks. You just wasted 62 game ticks, right? And so you add more filters into a cart in a situation like this, where you're pulling straight from the box, you're just wasting more time. In a lot of cases. Yeah.
Isn't there some way of forcing a detector rail to update faster with the...
Yeah, you can move piston. You can move it with a piston, or you can disable it by using some weird suppression trickery.
Oh, I thought you could do this. And this makes it go fast.
I don't know if this works or not anymore. Maybe it does. I've never used this trick. Oh, no. I do use this trick. Yeah. You need to use this if you have the cart on the rail constantly. In this case, I'm literally pushing the rail, so it forces it to update in the comp. Yeah, this works fine because I'm moving the activator rail.
You update the comparator?
Yeah. So this trick is really useful for forcing the comparator to do checks more frequently.
I see.
Yeah, and I use this in my cart splitter, and this is very well-known tech. You don't actually even need this comparator. As long as this is next to this, it forces it to do updates every game tick.
Oh. Every game tick?
Yeah.
Very nice. Could also prime the comp instead. I thought the issue was the detector rail. It only updates every 10. It only sends cut updates every 10.
Yeah, the detector rail is the issue, but the comparator is the thing that needs to get updated.
Oh, I see. Okay, so if you just send a CUD update to the comparator anyway,
Yeah, whenever you need the update, as Carrie just said, you can technically do the check only when you need to know what's happening in the cart, which is a less laggy way to do it.
Okay.
But Yeah. So
Oh,
just forgot you've been up for
I've
a
been
very
up.
long.
I've been up the whole day. I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I hope you solve it. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm working on the front end for my next setup right now, so that'll be soon TM.
Sounds good. I'm excited to see it. I do actually have to run right now because I got to go drop someone off at the airport.
No
But this has been
worries.
fun. I hope I wasn't too long-winded. I didn't know how
No.
much you wanted me to prepare.
You prepared more than you had to, but it was great. I
Okay.
appreciate the slideshow. That was really good.
All right. I'm glad you enjoyed.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, y'all. See ya.
Thank you, Data.
See ya.
All right.
Bro, the slideshow was insane.
It was nice.
Oh yeah. History is incredible. No, everything genuinely leads back to Malon.
Everything goes back to Melon. The fact that it all originated with Etho is kind of cool. I didn't know that. Oh boy. Yeah, I think we can probably call the recording here though, Willie, if you haven't already.